Okay, it looks like we've got everybody joining in. Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us today. It is our 12th webinar of this series, and we're really excited to have you all here. And today's topic is one that I think every single person in this room is going to find incredibly useful. So let's just get into it, and I'll tell you about it. Okay, so for those of you who are new here, welcome. My name is Shelby and I'm the lead engagement specialist here at TempStars. As part of our webinar series designed to make you the most prepared professional in the room, today we're tackling the unexpected so that no matter what a shift throws at you, you already know exactly what to do. So before we dive in today, please just use the chat window to ask any questions throughout today's session. We do have Chelsea joining us today. She is our lead customer support agent. So she will keep an eye on the chat for all the questions that you guys have, and she'll address them in the chat window. Okay, so here's a quick look at what we're covering today. So we've got 8 topics. All pulled directly from real situations that come through our support team on a regular basis. So this is very real, very practical content that applies to every temp on the platform. So we're starting with locked doors and unexpected closures, moving into modified hours and short notice cancellations, dull tools and equipment issues, PPE and infection control concerns, personal emergencies, on-site issues and emergencies, and then we'll wrap it all up with what I call the documentation habit, which I'd argue is probably the most important slide in the whole deck. So by the end of today, my goal is plain and simple. I want you to feel equipped and confident to handle whatever a shift throws your way. And contacting the office, by the way, is the first thing that you should always do as a starting point. But on that note, we'll just get into it and start from the top. All right, locked doors. Let's paint the picture here, okay? So you've woken up, you've gotten ready, you've had your breakfast, you've driven to the office, you've arrived right on time, and the doors are locked. Nobody's answering the phone, the lights are all off. This happens more often than you might think, and it can really, really be stressful. And not just for you, but also for our support agents that get these tickets in. So here's exactly what you need to do. Simple steps here. So step 1, don't leave. If you do anything, just don't leave. Stay put. I know that it might feel like the natural reaction, but leaving immediately can affect your compensation and your ability to be supported by TempStars. So just stay put, don't leave. The second step, double check your shift details. I know that it sounds like super easy, but just pull it up, double check you're at the right address, the right day, the right time. Again, it sounds super simple, just a simple check. That's all it takes. And then your last step here is probably the most important one. So if you've done the first 2, contact TempStars support right away at help@tempstars.com. When you send that email, you can also request a phone call if you prefer that, to speak to somebody directly, up to you. And please, if at all possible, stay on site until you hear back from support. We're actively working on it on your behalf the moment you reach out. So we understand that your time is valuable, and TempStars has your back from the moment that you arrive to that office. So just wait to hear from us before you do anything. Okay, so the modified hours. This one comes up a lot. So patient schedules change, and sometimes that directly affects your shift, right? So I want to make sure that you know exactly what you're entitled to depending on when that change happens. We've broken this down into 3 scenarios, and I really love this visual that we have for you guys because it makes it really clear at a glance. So if the change happens before or more than 24 hours before the shift time, you're in a really good spot. You have options. You can accept the new hours or you can decline them. And if you decline the new hours, the office either reverts to the original hours or cancels with no short notice penalty to you or to them. And then if it happens within that 24 hours of your shift start, you have a little bit of limited protection. So you may be paid only for the hours actually worked. But if you decline the modified hours and the office cancels as a result, they owe you 50% compensation minus the 30 minutes. And then if the change happens after your shift has already started, you're protected. If the office shortens your shift after you've begun working, you're entitled to 100% of the hours you worked plus 50% of that lost time. So let me walk you through a really quick example here just so that it clicks. So say that you have an 8-hour shift and the office reduces it to 5 hours within that 24-hour mark. The office will owe you the 50% of those 3 hours minus 30 minutes. That works out to about 1.25 hours of compensation. So you'd be paid for 5 worked hours, 1.25 hours compensation, and that's going to be a total of 6.25 hours. And then any questions, drop them in the chat below. I know it's a little bit mathy, but there's a little way to try to get there. But if you have questions ever, drop them in the chat. Okay. Let's get to the dull tools and equipment issues. So this one's a little near and dear to the hearts of a lot of hygienists in particular out there, I know. And honestly, it's one of the more uncomfortable situations to navigate because it requires you to speak up in an office where you're a newcomer, right? So you open the instrument tray, you immediately notice that the instruments haven't been properly maintained or sharpened. Here's how to handle it with professionalism and confidence. Your first step is always to address it directly with the office, your direct point of contact at that office. So do it calmly and professionally. You might be surprised how often this is simply something that was just overlooked and can quickly be resolved. If the conversation doesn't end up going as planned, stay on premise and contact TempStars support. Please don't leave without guidance again. And here's something really important to be aware of. If you do choose to leave due to equipment concerns without that authorization from us, there is generally no compensation available to you. So always exhaust your options first. And after the shift, no matter how it went, please share your experience honestly. We have a post-shift review or ratings, and you can always give us feedback. We genuinely want to help the TempStars community and help offices understand where they need to improve. And remember, how you handle these moments always says a lot about you as a professional, and your ratings and your reputation are always worth protecting. So remember that. Okay, PPE and infection control. This one's non-negotiable, right? So I mean that without hesitation. Your safety and the safety of your patients is always top priority. If you arrive at an office and the infection control protocols or PPE supplies do not meet provincial or state guidelines, you have both the right and the responsibility to address it. Your first step, again, is to raise your concerns with the appropriate decision maker at the office. So it could be the office manager, the dentist, the owner of the practice if they're there, whoever your main point of contact is at that office. So start there before doing anything else. At the same time, start documenting. Take photos if you can. Write down detailed notes about what's missing or non-compliant, including times, names. This documentation is going to be critical if you need to escalate anything. Then when your with your professional judgment to determine whether the situation requires you to leave for your safety reasons. So if it does, obviously you're going to be in contact with TempStars support immediately. And that's again at help@tempstars.com. And then what are the main things you're looking for? So PPE not stocked in adequate sizes. And yes, gloves that don't fit properly absolutely count as non-compliant. Non-compliant infection control systems, non-functional sterilization equipment, or improper barriers, and equipment that isn't properly maintained, the autoclaves, water lines, suction, all this applies. TempStars takes this extremely seriously, and we have a zero tolerance here for this policy for situations that compromise your safety or your patient's safety. And we back that up with our workplace safety and compliance guarantee. So please, please, please take note of that. Personal emergencies. We get it. Life happens to everybody. And sometimes it happens at the absolute worst possible time, like literally the morning of the shift. So I want to make sure that you know exactly what our policy is here because knowledge is protection. So if you cancel a shift, the standard penalty is a -5 point shift penalty. And I know that sounds a little significant, and it is because cancellations have a real impact on the dental office that was counting on you to show up. However, and this is really important, TempStars genuinely understands that real emergencies happen and penalties can be reduced or even completely waived in certain circumstances. Those circumstances include documented, personal medical emergencies, immediate family emergencies, including a spouse, a child, a parent with supporting documentation, the natural disasters or severe weather that make travel genuinely unsafe, documented vehicle breakdowns, car accidents, or your way to the shift, and other extenuating circumstances that TempStars evaluates on a case-by-case basis. So all cases are genuinely different, and we get that. So contacting TempStars support is going to help with that. And the single most important thing I want you to remember from this slide is that communication as soon as possible. Contact not just TempStars support, but also the office immediately. And the sooner you reach out, the more we can do to help you. Don't go silent. That's when situations become much harder to resolve and much more difficult for us to advocate for you. And in terms of your reputation here at TempStars, we look for a pattern of last-minute cancellations, not just these one-off situations. So remember that. Okay, the on-site issues and emergencies. So this slide covers those situations that happen while you're already in the middle of a shift. Okay, so something unexpected arises and you're not sure how to handle it. Maybe there's a conflict, a patient situation that feels a little outside your scope, or something about the office environment that raises a concern. Here's your step-by-step response, and I'd encourage you to try to commit this to memory. It's not too long, I promise. So first, always, and I've said this for a couple of these situations, resolve any type of issue directly with the office, being sure that you are calm and professional. This is always the starting point. Second, again, document everything, notes, screenshots, photos where they're appropriate. Third, remain on site. Again, you should see a pattern here with all these different situations. Remain on site unless TempStars specifically instructs you otherwise or your safety is genuinely at risk. And then fourth, contact customer support. Please do not leave without authorization or clear guidance. Now, here's a really important nuance around the compensation. So if TempStars investigates and finds the office to be non-compliant, then you're entitled to the compensation. However, if the office is found to be compliant and your concerns are determined to be unfounded, then there's no compensation for just leaving. That's exactly why documentation and contacting support before making any decisions is so critical. And obviously, your safety always comes first. And TempStars has a zero tolerance policy for situations that put you or your patients at risk. And we mean every word of that, promise. Okay, I know I mentioned at the start of this, it might be the most important slide in the deck. And I absolutely stand by it still after going through this. So the documentation habit is something I genuinely encourage every TempStar professional to build. It's just any unexpected situation that you can put power, like you have power into it, is such a powerful tool to gain. So what do you need to document? So photos of anything non-compliant that we talked about, the PPE, the equipment, unsafe conditions, written notes with times, names, detailed descriptions of exactly what happened, any screenshots of any relevant in-app messages. And why does this matter so much? So again, it supports your case when you contact us, TempStars support. It protects your rating if there's ever a dispute that arises, and it helps us evaluate the situation quickly and fairly for everyone involved. And when you reach out to support, always make sure to include your name, your email if it's different from the one you're reaching out with, the shift date, the office name, and a clear description of what happened, and attached any documentation that you have. You send it all again over to help@tempstars.com. And remember, This documentation, doing that first and then acting second, will protect you every single time. Okay, we covered a lot today, so let's bring it all home with these key things I want you to walk away with. So number one, you're never alone. I hope you got that from this presentation. TempStars support is always available 7 days a week, again, at help@tempstars.com. We're always in your corner. Number two, stay calm and professional and stay on site if at all possible. Your first call should always be to office staff. Ask for help, ask for clarity, try to resolve it at the source, then you loop in TempStars if needed. Number three, document everything, photos, notes, screenshots. Your single most important and best protection in any dispute, and it makes our ability to help you so much faster and so much more efficient. And finally, your safety always comes first. No shift, no booking, no rating is ever worth compromising your personal well-being or your professional standards. TempStars will always back you up when your safety is genuinely at risk. Okay, and that brings us to the end of the content today. I genuinely hope that this session leaves you feeling a little bit more prepared and confident when you arrive, because a prepared temp is always an unstoppable one. Just having confidence is going to set you up for success. And before we get to questions, if there are any, I do want to mention that if you ever just want to hop on a call one-on-one with me, please feel free. We can talk about your profile, job searching, TempStars, product questions, feedback, whatever you want to talk about. You can grab a spot on my calendar. Just you can scan the QR code there and book some time with me whenever it is good for you. And I truly love connecting with everyone one-on-one. So it's a great resource to have. And again, for any ongoing questions, concerns, our amazing customer support team is always available at help@tempstars.com. If I haven't said that enough already, I feel like I have now. They're genuinely wonderful people over there. So they're always ready to help. And just a little thank you for showing up live today. Everyone who has joined us in real time is going to be automatically entered into our gift card giveaway, if you didn't know. Surprise. There's no action needed on your end. We'll be reaching out to our lucky winner directly within the next 24 hours, so keep your eye on your inbox. And then again, stay tuned for our upcoming webinar topics for the next coming months. I do a different one every month. And if there's something specific that you'd love for us to cover, you can drop whatever you're thinking, either in the chat. You can book some time with me and we can talk about that, or you can just send your ideas and your feedback over to help@tempstars.com. All right, I'm going to hand it over to Chelsea and she can see if there's any recurring themes that's been going on in the chat.
Everybody has been very quiet. So Asma, I see that you have your hand raised. Go for it.
Hello, hi. I just joined TempStars. Thank you so much for this meeting. I just have a question. It's actually a doubt. I've been applying for multiple positions since 3 weeks ago, and I've never been accepted, or got an offer from any positions. So I'm not sure why. Is that because I'm a new member, or because I don't have history with that, TempStars? So I need to understand what's happening.
That's a great question. Oh, I just got a little echo on my end. I'm sorry. That's a great question, though, Asma, and something that all of our new members really struggle with as a hurdle when you first join. One of the things that we always encourage you to do is take a good look at your profile and make sure that all of the sections are complete. That includes your professional profile photo. That includes your About Me section. You want to make sure that all of your work experience is outlined. And if you do check your profile and you see that you have everything that you need all in there, you can always reach out to us at help@tempstars.com. And we would be happy to give you any recommendations directly, including suggesting that you meet with Shelby. She would be a great one-on-one resource to really take a deep dive into a personalized recommendation for what we can do to help you increase your success when you're submitting those shift offers.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Another question. I have a sick leave, and I had a position today, and I couldn't I couldn't, I would not be able to do it tomorrow. So I cancel it, and I saw the cancellation email, and I'm just wondering if I got the note from the doctor, how long that will take for the hold to be there on my account.
That's a fantastic question and something that everybody should keep in mind. So, if you ever find yourself having to cancel a shift, like Shelby said, we always recognize that life happens. So, if you have documentation from your doctor, if you ever get into, God forbid, a car accident or anything that you have documentation to share to support your cancellation, you can send that over to us at help@tempstars.com. And our lovely membership integrity team reviews all cancellations on a case by case basis. Now, sometimes that can include a shortened hold, that can include a completely lifted hold, it can include an ignored cancellation. It is entirely case by case. So the best course of action there, whenever you cancel a shift and you have documentation to support it, please don't hesitate to send anything over to us at support. And like I said, we're human and all of your cancellations are reviewed by real human people. So we want to hear from you and help you navigate any of those situations directly. Does that make
Okay.
sense, Asma?
Yeah, thank you so much for answering my questions.
Of course, you're welcome. Does
Great
anybody else have
question.
anything coming to mind? All right. Well, it seems like you might be good, Shelby. I have a feeling you might be getting. Oh, go ahead.
Oh,
Hi guys, thank you for your presentation. Super helpful.
awesome.
If there, if you do cancel your offer, you weren't accepted, but you cancel it, does that have any effect on your like on our profile?
That's a great question and something that everybody should keep in mind. So, if you ever have a pending offer, and I can tell you from being on support, one of the biggest things that I run into with our members having to cancel is that we know, a lot of people are using multiple platforms. So, you can have multiple offers active on multiple platforms. And the key to success here is making sure that you are just managing your calendars. So, as long as your shift offer is still pending, you can remove it at any point with no penalty whatsoever. Absolutely nothing will happen to your account. If you leave them, let's say you have a few active offers, they stay active for a full 18 hours. And if you submit it on a Friday after 4 p.m., they actually stay active until noon on Monday. So, given those windows, you have extended periods of time where you can withdraw those offers. Now, let's say you forget about it and the shift ends up being confirmed. It does count as a cancellation, but that is why we give you the ability to manage those shift offers and remove anything you can before it's accepted, and we can avoid penalties altogether that way.
Okay, thank you so much.
Of course. Anybody else have anything?
Those were great questions.
Oh, we've got a new one. If an office cancels your shift the night before, can you still be compensated? That's a really great question. So we have what we call our short notice cancellation compensation policy. And that kicks in if an office cancels a shift within 24 hours of start time. Now, there are a couple of parameters here that we need to keep in mind. The shift needs to have been confirmed for a minimum of 2 hours. So if an office accepts your offer and then 10 minutes later they realize, oh my gosh, I booked the wrong day, or they look at the schedule and it all fell apart and now they don't need a temp anymore. If they cancel that shift right away, short notice cancellation compensation doesn't kick in because it's really trying to support our temps that have planned their entire schedule around this shift and it has been confirmed for a full day. You've made all the arrangements you need. In that case, the office is responsible for compensating you 50% of your originally scheduled shift minus any applicable break. It's typically a 30-minute unpaid break that we deduct from that. Other thing to keep in mind is that if you are in an area and there are 15 other shifts that are located for the same time slot and the same distance away, and you just decide not to book another shift, hoping that that short notice cancellation compensation will come through, it does nullify that in that situation. So your first step is always first check the app and make sure that there are no other shifts in your area that would satisfy the same requirements that you were going to get for the original shift. If it doesn't, our system actually automatically creates a list of any shifts that are canceled that meet those parameters. And if you ever have any doubts, you can always reach out to us at help@tempstars.com, and we'll be happy to review any office cancellation that you need. If the cancellation happens with more than 24 hours, we completely understand that that still does impact your schedule and that we're all obviously counting on income to make all of our payments that we need to. And we do take that seriously. So we regularly remove offices from our platform that show patterns of consistently canceling shifts on our temps. We take reliability seriously in both directions. So we do our best to support you however we can through all of those situations. You're welcome.
Perfect.
Does anybody else have any questions?
I think we are good. Great questions, everyone. Thank you for the great attendance. This has been one of our best turnouts by far. I guess there's a need for stuff like this, which is fantastic. And I think showing up live and seeing the content, being able to ask those questions that you have live in the moment is very valuable. So this webinar will be, it's being recorded and it will be edited and uploaded for you to access later. You'll be able to reach not just this webinar, but all the webinars that I've done before will be on our YouTube channel. So you can head over to YouTube and just type in TempStars and you can find it there. This specific one that you're in right now should be up in around the 24-hour mark. Just give us time to get that recorded, edited, and uploaded. So this time tomorrow, you should be good to watch this webinar all over again if you forgot anything. And again, thank you all for attending. I appreciate it each and every month. It's such a great turnout. And with that, I guess we're off.
Thank you,
Thanks, everyone.
everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.